Hello there and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Deepa Robbins from DeeZinesByD and I have another post for the Make the Cards challenge. This one is for challenge 30, which is another sketch challenge. And for my take on this sketch, I decided to use the beautiful PinkFresh products that I've been using a lot lately. I just happened to get my hands on the Stencil, which completes my set of the washi tape, the stamp, the die, and now I have the stencil. So I really wanted to use a stencil to use some other colors. And here is the sketch post for this week. It is pretty simple and it's got a really nice look to it. So I thought a wreath would do well for it, for this sketch. So as I said, I'm going to be using the PinkFresh Studio, the Indigo Vines set. I've used this in a video before with the actual washi tape. Today I'm not going to use the washi tape. I'm just going to use the stencils, the stamp, and the die. And I'm showing you that each of the stencils are numbered and they have a little like notch in each corner that you can kind of line up with your paper if you wanted to cut your paper to size ahead of time. I am not too worried about that. I'm just going to kind of line it up with my cardstock as best I can. And I didn't even tape it down. I'm just holding it down. And the reason why I'm not being too careful is because I'm doing like a bit of a blended two-tone stenciling job here. And I don't really need it to be too exact. So I'm starting off with some Altenew Volcano Lake. And I'm using this ink to just pretty much color in my leaves here. But I'm not coloring them in so that you have like one solid like color. It's a bit darker on different sides. It's a little lighter at the top of the leaves. And I'm not being too careful to make sure that I have like complete coverage of my color because I want it to have a variance in the tone. And then I'm also going to add this Altenew Tide Blue ink. So this is more of a bluey color. I wanted the leaves to have a greeny blue color. And as you can see, just like I said before, I'm not covering the entire leaf or the leafy images. I'm kind of just getting the edge here. So I'm brushing up from like one edge so that I get that blue color just like on the bottom edge of the leaf or the top edge of the leaf if you wanted to give it that two-tone stenciling look. So that's the effect that I get, which is really cool. And this is only the first stencil. So now I'm moving on to the second stencil. And I'm using Altenew Lagoon Ink, which is a color darker than the Volcano Lake. It's part of the same color set or series. So if you're not familiar with Altenew Inks, they come in sets because they have layering stamps and stencils and stuff. Each set comes with 4 different colors that are of different tones from light to dark. And just like here I'm showing you, I'm picking the darker tone of blue to kind of highlight the darker areas. It makes it easier for you to do layered stamping. And because I'm doing stenciling, layered stenciling, two-tone stenciling, I decided these would be great to use because I have the same color, but just in different tones. So you can see here my highlight is also two-toned. And now I'm going to come in with the third stencil using some puffy heart. Now there are like a few little flowers kind of throughout this leafy image. So I'm going to use like a pink and I want it to have like a pinky purple look. So I'm using the puffy heart and then I'm going to use the purple, which is Deep Iris. So this is another collection. And just like the leaves, I'm going to be stenciling this in a manner in which I'm going to get that purple on like the bottom edge of those flowers. So I still want that pink to peek through. I just want this purple to like kind of create a different tone on the bottom of the flower if I can. So you don't have to be exact. You can see like in some cases I have the double tone at the bottom and in some cases I have the dual tone at the top. It's a really haphazard. I'm not like specifically doing it any which way. I just want to see the two tones in some way. So now this is the last stencil. So this is the detail piece for the flowers. And I'm using Altenew Purple Wine. So this is more of a purple color because I decided it needed a bit more purple. There was a lot of pink with that puffy heart that I used. And then I'm making the color just have like a little bit of a darker tone with this Midnight Violet, which gives that highlight the two-tone as well. And that's the final result you get with that. Now I'm going to actually use the stamp to create an outline. And here's a little trick that I picked up from PinkFresh Studio. Some of their designers actually show you how to do the stamping. Now, if you do have the stamp, you will realize that it doesn't fully fit within the well of your MISTI. Particularly if you have this MISTI. If you have the scrapbooking, like the huge version, it's totally fine. But I find that it kind of cuts off half of it and you kind of have to stamp it twice. So if you want to get it on there in one go, all you got to do is kind of tape down your stamp positioner and angle it so that the back of the lid, or sorry, the top of the lid is going to pick up your stamp. So I'm lining up my stamp and then I'm going to tape down my paper here so it's not going to move. If you have a magnetic board or something like that, you can put that underneath and use your magnets. Now I'm going to pick this up with the top of my MISTI. See, and I have no issues because I don't have to deal with the well that, you know, is inside the margins. And now I'm just using some VersaMark Embossing Ink because I'm going to be doing some heat embossing with this. So I will just kind of stamp that down. I'm making sure it lines up. Sorry, my head kind of gets in the way a little bit. And once that's down there, and don't forget to use your anti-static tool because you are doing embossing. You might get pieces everywhere, but I am going to end up cutting this out, so it's really up to you. I'm using some Altenew Rose Gold embossing powder. Now this is a nice embossing powder because even though it says rose gold, I find that it's still a little bit more goldy than rose. And so it actually works well for this because it gives it that gold tone without it being too intense. So I like using this embossing powder for a lot of my projects. I'm just going to heat up my heat tool and melt that embossing powder. And it's going to create such a nice effect with the leaves. It gives you that metallic, shiny aspect to these images. And so once I'm done, this is the final product. Really, really nice, especially with the blue and the pinky purple tones. So here's a coordinating die. I'm just simply going to line this up, put that through my die cutting machine. I have the Big Shot Plus, and these are all the little pieces you get. Now keep in mind, I'm running this through my die cutting machine once, and it was easy to line that full piece up. So I'm going to move on to the Spellbinders triple tier Nestabilities die. I'm using these two little circle frames to cut out pieces from light blue cardstock. And then I'm also using the PinkFresh Joyful Bouquet stamp set to ink up and stamp out my sentiment. So again, I'm going to just continue with that heat embossing with the same color of rose gold Altenew embossing powder, just to match that with the rest of my floral theme I've got going. So this is going to match nicely. I'll just heat that up and melt the powder to the paper. And the final result is just really nice, and it teams very well with the rest of the floral elements. So I have my card front here, my card panel. It's about what? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's about 4.5 by. You'll have to look this up in my blog. It's basically enough to give me like a 1/4 inch frame around the card front for a 5 by 7 card. And I'm using the stamp to actually stamp out a background with some Altenew Sea Breeze ink. This is just such a nice light effect that it's nice to kind of fill in the paper so it's not just white, and it also ties in your colors and the stamp. So I'm using the sentiment from PinkFresh Studio Phrase Builder. This is the Hello die set. And I've cut out the background or the shadow in that same light blue cardstock. And I've cut out the actual sentiment in some Sizzix gold metallic cardstock. And this is very easy to cut out and put together. I really like these sentiments. And I'll just go ahead and complete that. And don't forget to keep your little dot for the eye separate. Don't lose it with your die cutting. I'm also going to use the PinkFresh Studio Frame Builder Circle die. Now this is a really cool die. It comes in like a rectangle shape. I believe there's also a triangle, a square, and an oval. And I'm going to use some Grafix Vellum. This has like a bunch of different colors. There's the normal Vellum, Shimmer Gold, Shimmer White, and that's what I'm going to be using, the white. So it kind of shines like a shimmery color there. These are all just little elements I'm going to use to assemble my card. So I have these strips of Sizzix Opulent cardstock. It's in charcoal glitter and gold metallic colored cardstock. And I've just kind of created like a double line, and then I cut off the edges at the top to create a bit of an angle just for a bit of interest. It kind of draws your eyes inwards towards the center of the card where the actual wreath is going to be. So I've attached those two die cut pieces together from earlier with a bit of washi tape on the back, and now I'm just adding the wreath onto the front with a bit of foam tape or foam squares. And then I'll just attach the whole wreath and this like circle element plus the sentiment to the card, just like the sketch. And as you can see, I kind of turned the sketch on its side and decided to do it more in a rectangle form versus being like the portrait or like in a landscape position versus being a portrait picture. I mean, it's completely up to you how you want to do it. You can modify the sketch to your liking to make a card. Like as I said, the sketch is only an inspiration. It's up to you to make it however you would like. So I also have all those little other floral elements, and I'm going to add that around the leaf, sorry, the wreath. And it's going to just kind of add a bit more color because it's adding a bit more of those little colored flowers, and it creates a bit more dimension because I am putting them on there with some more foam tape. And now I'm going to use these little vellum pieces in the background. And it's just going to be like a slight little detail that just gives a little bit more oomph or like dimension to the card, a bit more interest. That's the word I was looking for. And I'm not going to glue the entire thing down. I find with the shimmer vellum, you don't really see the adhesive behind it. That's why I kind of turn to use it a lot. But I only put like a couple dabs of glue in there and kind of fastened it behind the wreath. And then I'm just going to add a couple more of these leafy pieces. So I actually picked this up from a few designs that I've seen from PinkFresh Studio from their designers. I noticed that they have their own little leafy die that they use in the background like this a lot. And I mean, it's not anything specific to PinkFresh. Like a lot of people do this. And so I decided I'd use the dies that I have to create the same kind of look. It just, I don't know, I really liked the idea of that. So now I'm going to move on to the inside of my card, and I'm going to use the same technique I did on the front panel. This again is to coordinate the front with the inside, and I already have all the supplies to do it because I just did it for the front, so it just makes it a bit easier. And all I'm doing is again stamping out that floral image with the Altenew Sea Breeze ink, same color. And I'm just kind of stamping it all haphazardly around there. Make sure you do it kind of off the edges and not just kind of sectioning it into the center, because I find that when you do have it off the edge, it kind of gives it a more like it's a background stamp kind of look versus having it just kind of centered in a little frame. I don't know. I just feel it looks better. I mean, it is up to you how you want to do it. So I have this kind of overhanging in different ways, and I just kind of, you can see I did a lot of positioning to kind of make sure they don't overlap with the other leaves. And that's the final product there. Then I had to do my sentiment, which is from the same set, the Joyful Bouquet stamp set. And I'm using some Nocturne ink. So I love these sayings. They're very inspirational and like they're very nice. So this one, find joy in your journey. This card is a bit more of like a, have at it, keep going. I mean, this pandemic's been going on forever. It seems like we're just kind of through it, and we've got our vaccines, and it's just kind of like the kids left, and then you get hit with the Delta variant and all of that. So honestly, this card is just like an inspirational card to be like, hey, keep going. You're doing great. And, you can get through to the end. And as I don't know, as pathetic as it may sound, this was kind of for myself, because it is kind of like, has been hard on a day-to-day basis to kind of deal with the kids, and now with them going back to school, with everything going on. So I just felt like this card was just needed, whether it's for myself or anybody else, just to kind of even see that whole sentiment on the front, to believe in yourself, things will get better, just keep going, keep trekking on. So anyways, for the front, I decided to add a bit of that blue cardstock, that light blue cardstock that I used for the little pieces behind the wreath. And so I added this as my background. So I actually attached it to my card first and then cut off all the overhanging bits. And now I'm just going to attach my front panel to this. And as I said, my front panel is about, it's about it's about half an inch smaller on the top and bottom to create a 1/4 inch border around the entire thing. Sorry, I'm from Canada. We use the metric system a lot, and so it's hard for me to get used to all the inches. I mean, I know card making is always pretty much in inches, so it's been a task. But anyways, that's why I'm kind of, you know, iffy on my sizes, but I do try to write the sizes down in my blog write-up. So if you're ever unsure, you can look it up in there. And now I'm just adding my embellishments. So these are the lolly beads that I've explained before I've gotten from Amazon. I have it in AB color and in a gold color. So that AB color is going to pick up all the colors around it, and that gold just kind of highlights the metallic gold that we have on the front. So this is my final card. This is my take on the Make the Cards Challenge sketch. And I mean, you can do whatever your heart desires. Just kind of keep some of the elements of the sketch and you'll do great. I can't wait to see what you guys create. So head on over to www.makethecardschallenge.com. Be sure to check out all of the designers' inspiration. I mean, they've done a great job. I can't wait to see what you guys all make. And please don't forget to link up your posts, link up your cards. You can have a chance to be featured as the featured card creator of the week. And have fun doing it. I mean, that's what it's all about, having fun. So there's my final card. Make sure you join the challenge. If you did like my video, give it a thumbs up and maybe you can subscribe. I have a link in my description to my blog, which has all the details on how I made this card and all the links to all the products that I used. And please check out anything else in my blog that you may find of interest. I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope to see you again. And don't forget to join the challenge.